Hey guys, so there's a couple questions with the 6.1 handout. Question 4, C and D when it comes to solving these equations with fractions. So I'm just going to walk you guys through how I would go about solving this kind of equation. So I'm just going to do my work a little bit higher up here, kind of out of the way for you guys. So for 6C, we have 6 on the outside of the brackets, but the rest of the stuff that we have is fractions. So I'm actually going to just write this as a fraction by putting it out of 1 to begin with. So I've got 6 out of 1, and that is being multiplied by m minus 1 out of 9, and that is going to equal 55 out of 12. So because it is distributive property, I need to multiply everything on the outside of the brackets by everything that is inside of the brackets. So this first one is simply going to become 6 out of 1m, and 6 times 1 is 6, and 1 times 9 is 9, because when we multiply fractions, remember that it is numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. And that's still going to equal 55/12. Okay, your next step is to get your variable by itself, which means that I need to get rid of this number, and what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Now, as you guys know, as we were working previously with rational numbers way long time ago at the beginning of the school year, if you can simplify fractions as you guys are going along to make things easier, please feel free to do so. So I'm actually going to do this to begin with right here, and I'm going to say that this is actually the same thing as 2/3, okay? Because simplifying makes you have to work a little bit less harder, right? So 6 on 1m minus 2/3 is equal to 55/12. Now, to get my variable by itself, I'm going to do the opposite of subtracting 2/3, which means I need to add 2/3 to both sides. When I add fractions, I need to have a common denominator. So the common denominator is actually going to be 12. So times 4 times 4. So that means I am actually adding 8/12 to both sides. So I'm going to add 8/12 here and add 8/12 there. That leaves me with 6 out of 1m is equal to 63 out of 12. Okay. Next step would be to get the variable by itself. So when it is next to it, that means it is a multiplication. So the opposite of multiplying by 6 out of 1 would be to divide by 6 out of 1. And we all know that when we divide, we are actually multiplying by the reciprocal, which means that m is equal to 63 out of 72. And then I can simplify my fraction by dividing it by 9. What I do to the top, I make sure I can do to the bottom, which gives me 7/8. Now it does also say here to please verify your solution. So when you are verifying your solution, you are replacing it, your final answer, into the equation. So I'm going to say that it's 6 out of 1, and I'm multiplying that by 7/8 minus 1/9, which is equal to 55/12. I need to have, or I can use my distributive property first, which gives me 42/8 minus 6/9 is equal to 55/12. But I need common denominators in order to subtract. So 8 and 9 can both go into 72. So I'm going to cross multiply by the opposite, times 8. 42 times 9 is going to be 378 minus 48, and those are both out of 72. And 378 minus 48 is 330 out of 72. And these are always still equal to 55/12. So if I simplify this by dividing it by 6, that will give me 55 out of 12, which is also equal to 55 out of 12. Okay, so you got to work through kind of one thing at a time. So if we did the second example that people are struggling with, And you guys probably won't have to do it to this extreme, but it's good practice to begin with. If we were to solve this one, again, we're doing distributive property. So we are multiplying the number outside of our brackets by all of the numbers inside of our brackets. So it is going to become negative 69 is equal to 10 out of 6 minus 2/3 g. Okay, your next step, get your variables all by itself, which means I need to get rid of this. I need a common denominator of 9 and 6 in order to do this. So I know that it's going to be 18. So I'm going to times that one by 2 and that one by 3. So this is actually negative 32 out of 18. And that is equal to 30 out of 18 minus 2/3 g. Now that I have common denominator, I can subtract and subtract, which is going to give me negative 62 out of 18 is equal to negative 2/3 g. Please don't forget the subtraction. Because it wasn't used, it is becoming a negative now. We can't just pretend that it is not there. So when it is next to each other like that, it means multiply, and the opposite of multiplying is to divide. And when I divide, we all remember that dividing is actually multiplying by the reciprocal, which becomes negative 3 on 2. It's just easiest if you leave your symbol, your negative symbol, with your numerator so that you can cross multiply them properly. But if you had left it at the bottom, it would still give you the same answer in the end. So anyway, if I am multiplying 62 by 3, that's giving me 186, and 18 times 2 is giving me 36, and two negatives multiplied together make it a positive, so it can stay positive. And this is still equal to g. Now we should always simplify our final answers if possible, and it can be simplified by dividing by 6, which gives me 31 out of 6 is equal to g. If I'm going to take that and I'm going to verify to make sure that I still get the same answer, again, I am going to rewrite my equation out. Minus 31/6, and I'm just going to solve it normally. So again, I'm going to use my distributive property. So my first one stays the same. 2 times 5, 10. 3 times 2, 6. Minus 2 times 31, 62. 3 times 6, 18. I need to have a common denominator. 6 does go into 18, so I can multiply by 3. So negative 16 over 9 is equal to 30 out of 18 minus 62 out of 18. And then I can group my numerators together, which will give me negative 32 out of 18. And if I simplify this by dividing by 2, it does in fact give me negative 16 out of 9. And because my final answers are equal, I know that I have correctly found the solution. Good luck at doing these. You will get a little bit more access to a calculator when you're working through some of these things next year, because you're going to end up graphing and things. So if you don't 100% get all of these questions perfect, it is okay. But it is very important that you are taking the time to go through them. Let me know if there are any other questions. Good luck.